Guys, today I want to show you some really great exercises that are going to progress your way to doing a back squat, as well as give you some really great tips that are going to help you perfect your form on a back squat, because it's super important to make sure you have correct form on a back squat. Otherwise you can hurt your back, you can hurt your hips, you can just get hurt. Nobody wants that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with using a box. Now you can use a bench, you can use a chair at home, anything that's at a good level for you to sit down on, because we're just going to do a sit to stand. Whenever you're doing a squat, you want to push your hips back, just like sitting in a chair. And another important thing is just to keep your shoulders back, and you want to keep your chest up. So what we're going to do is we're going to just sit down, and then when you come up, think about a rope being attached to your chest, pulling you up. So you want to lead up with your chest. A lot of times when we're coming up from a squat, we start coming up with our hips first, especially when we have weight on our back. So just really push those hips back, stay in those heels. I even lift my toes up a little bit, especially when doing a sit to stand, just to really make sure that I'm staying in those heels. Make sure you're keeping your core tight the whole time. Now, if this is a little bit too easy, but you're not ready to go on to the next exercise, you can always add weight, just holding it at your shoulders. You can put a bar on your back or hold a weight in front of you to add some weight to that. The next exercise that we're gonna go to is using a stability ball. Now, this is a really great way to help you sit back as well, but taking the box away, you can get a little bit lower, a little bit deeper in your squat. You want to put your feet forward so that you can really push those hips back, and you can really sit down, and you're gonna roll back up. If you have your feet too far back, it's gonna shift you into your toes coming down here. So just make sure you're leaning into that ball. Again, chest up, shoulders back. Having that ball there is gonna make sure that you keep your shoulders back, because if you start leaning forward, you'll be able to feel your shoulders coming off the ball. So that's a really great exercise to do to progress your way. Now, once you've mastered those, this is one of my favorite ways to teach squats. And you'll use some resistance bands. You can find these on Amazon. If you just type in like thick resistance bands or pull-up assist bands, you should be able to find these, but you're gonna want thick ones that have a pretty high resistance on them. Now, what you wanna do is you wanna put this right around your hips. And again, keeping those shoulders back. You're gonna keep that tension on here, and you just wanna sit back and then stand back up, keeping that tension the whole time. If you lean too far back, you're gonna fall. So this is gonna really help you learn how to balance out your upper body, your lower body, and really stay in those heels, keeping your chest up. If you come forward, the band's gonna pull you forward. If you go too far back, you're gonna fall back. So it's not gonna hurt, I promise. You'll be able to tell. Just going up and down right here, keeping that core tight, staying in those heels, making sure that your knees stay out, okay? So that's me falling. That's a really great way to perfect that squat. Now, I've talked about, and I've really stressed about the importance of keeping your shoulders back and leading up with your chest. That is super important, because once your chest starts to fall forward, that weight's gonna fall forward, you could hurt yourself. So the next exercise that I love that's really gonna help you keep your core tight and really lead up with your chest is the goblet squat, because you're holding that weight right in front of you, and that's gonna really force you to wanna push up with your chest here. Okay, because if you lean forward, again, you'll be able to feel your hips coming up. You wanna stay right here, core tight, up and down. I love that exercise, especially for teaching squats, because you're holding that weight in front of you. Now, when you go into a back squat, you just wanna think of the same things. I notice a lot of times when we're getting comfortable, like trying to get comfortable using the bar, our knees cave in, especially when coming up. You wanna think about splitting the floor almost, and that's gonna help you keep those legs out. So if you have a back squat here and you're coming up, split that floor with your heels and try to split open the world, guys. So you wanna split it open, and that's gonna keep your knees out instead of caving in. But just make sure you're leading up with your chest. If you have that bar on your back and you come down and you're lifting up here, you're not gonna isolate your glutes as much as if you lead up with your chest. Another important thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to talk about for back squats, is breathing, because I'm not doing it right now. I'm so excited to talk about squats. So a super important thing in any exercise is the way that you breathe. So if you're doing a squat, you want to breathe in as you're coming down, and then it's going to help you with power. That's going to bring oxygen to your muscles. Breathe out when you come out. That's going to give you that much more strength in your squat. It's so important. If you're holding your breath, you could get lightheaded, you might not have as much power, but if you just want to breathe in, breathe out, that's going to help you keep your core tight as well. So those are my tips. I hope that you guys work those in because they are all great exercises. Squats are one of my favorite exercises to really isolate your glutes. They burn tons of calories. They're just a great overall exercise. So if you have any questions, comment below.